Doctor, these headaches are killing me. Well, let me tell you about my Harvard education and my peer-reviewed papers and my groundbreaking research. That is not sales for nice people. If you go to the doctor and you have a problem, whether it's a headache or pain in your back or whatever it is, and that doctor starts telling you about their education and how well respected they are in the industry and how groundbreaking their research, you wouldn't trust the guy or the girl. If somebody shows up with a problem and the first thing that you do is go and try and demonstrate how authoritative you are and how much people should take you seriously, you're talking to the wrong person. And if you're in a sales situation and you show up to a buyer meeting, your first contact with a person who might want your solution, and you start by pitching all the reasons why they should take you seriously, you've probably already lost the deal. You've certainly lost the conversation. You're on the back foot. And now you have to win back the conversation and have an actual conversation about solving the problem for your buyer. This thing where people show up and the first thing they do is pitch and try to look impressive is entirely the wrong thing to do when you are an ethical person who truly wants to help people. When your work makes a difference, when you're in business in order to make things better by making better things, as Seth Godin says, then you cannot afford to waffle on about yourself when actually the person, the patient in quotes, is looking for a conversation about themselves. When you show up and you start pitching and demonstrate everything that you're worth, then you're making the conversation off the bat about you. And that's when a buyer disconnects. Why would you want a buyer to disconnect at the first point of contact? So the thing to do when you are first meeting a buyer is to make the conversation about them right off the bat. So forget about the pitch, forget about who you are, who you work for, what you do, what kind of awards or accreditations you have. Nobody gives a damn. People care only about themselves and the solution that they are looking to get. That is why your buyer is in the conversation. Give them what they are looking for, which is a conversation about their problems, the reasons the problem needs to go away, and the options they have for getting rid of that problem. That is how you create a conversation that is valuable and useful for your buyer. It is how you earn respect, and it is how you earn your next conversation. So I understand that it's very tempting to start with a pitch, and I understand that it can be scary to start with questions. But think about the example of the doctor. When you walk into a doctor's office with a problem, and the first thing the doctor does is say, what seems to be the problem? That doctor is doing it right. That doctor is making everything about the patient. And when you're in a sales situation, you need to make sure that you make everything about your buyer. So show up and ask them a question. For instance, just start with, what made you decide to meet with me today? And off the back of that initial question, you're much more likely to have a very high quality, fruitful conversation that leads to a next conversation and ultimately to a sale than if you were to just show up and start pitching about why they should take you seriously. Nobody cares. Ask your buyer questions, make the conversation, the entire sales process about your buyer. That is Sales for Nice People, and if you want to get a short and helpful daily email in your inbox, go to salesfornicepeople.com/sign up, and I will see you again tomorrow.